Knowing you're meant for more and not doing more will drive an ambitious person insane. The voice that you have in your head telling you to do things and telling you to actually put your plans into action is only going to get louder. You probably have these big dreams, but you can't seem to keep the promises you make to yourself. You break them and you enter this vicious loop of inaction and guilt. And the worst part is there's this hidden cost of procrastination I feel like people don't really speak about, which I'll reveal to you in a second. But what happens is eventually you start to believe that you're not even worthy of the ambitions that you have in your mind. And while I'm here to tell you that that's a lie, because I used to be the same way, and I did these 3 things that overcame my laziness and actually forced me to execute what I had in my mind. I don't want to give you just surface level solutions, but I'm going to go deeper and address the root of where this laziness and procrastination probably comes from. Firstly, I think it's important to note that laziness doesn't come from a lack of focus all the time or a lack of discipline. It comes from a lack of clarity. Your ambition that you've got isn't specific enough, so you're left overwhelmed and paralyzed in inaction. You have this feeling that you know you want more out of life, you know you want to do something, but you don't know where to start. So naturally you default into laziness and distraction, and you tell yourself that you're waiting for the perfect time to start, or whatever other excuse that your mind comes up with. So the first way I overcame this laziness was to understand that my worry didn't come from a lack of options, it came from a lack of perceived options. Generic ambition gives you anxiety and specific ambition gives you clarity. So get specific on what you want, work out the details and reverse engineer the steps it's going to take to get there. You have to break down your macro goals into micro steps, or else you'll get lost in this tornado of thought and you'll have no idea where to start. For example, when I first started YouTube over on my main channel, I had all this energy, but I just didn't know where to channel it into, which obviously resulted in a lack of consistency and burnout. But it's only when I got specific about what it is I actually wanted out of the channel, what my North Star was, what the conversations I wanted to have with people were, what sort of impact I wanted to have on people, is when things started to pick up momentum and accelerate. One practical thing I did was I reduced the stakes. Not every video had to be a cinematic masterpiece production. Not every newsletter I write had to be the Odyssey. They say starting is the hardest part, and it's probably true. That's why I enact the 2-minute rule. So I sit down for 2 minutes, I force myself to actually write for 2 minutes or script for 2 minutes, and what you'll find happens is you'll enter flow state and you'll probably usually surpass that 2 minutes. It's just about beating that initial resistance. So whenever I have a task ahead of me that's too difficult to approach, I ask myself the right questions. Am I procrastinating because I don't know where to start or because I lack a plan? Is my environment optimized for me to focus? How have I handled similar situations in the past, and what patterns do I notice now? If I continue procrastinating, what will be the long-term consequences of that? It's all about finding the triggers and then addressing the root, or else it will just grow back even stronger. So procrastination comes from a lack of clarity and a lack of knowing what your next steps are. The more you understand what step is next, the more that anxiety you feel disappears, because action relieves anxiety every single time. There's a saying that sins are paid for on credit cards. You enjoy it in the moment, but later it creates interest and it compounds. And laziness is probably the biggest one of all. So the hidden cost of procrastination, which I mentioned earlier, is deeper than missed opportunities and wasted time. It's actually a mental agreement that you enter with yourself. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you're reaffirming your character subconsciously of who you are. You're shaping your self-image at the deepest level, and slowly but surely your self-belief dies because you believe that you're not competent enough for the ambitions that you have set out in your mind. Dark, but true. The good news is though, it's reversible. You just have to use some strategic thinking, which I'll share with you now. The first one being is to hold yourself accountable. There's this book called The War of Art from Stephen Pressfield, and he says inside that the greatest trick ever played on you is that resistance comes from the outside. In fact, it's all internal. Resistance is labeled as the enemy within, and the good thing about doing this is it creates a divide between you and your procrastination. So you have to understand that the mind that creates the desire for something is the same mind that will procrastinate in the process of achieving it. So logically, you have to elevate your mind to beat this pattern of thinking. The stronger your will to do something, the stronger the resistance and pull you're going to feel to not do it. The more you begin to procrastinate and self-doubt. So your only job is to identify this pull and reverse it. And overcoming this only comes down to one thing, which is your level of awareness. How aware are you of this current moment? Aside from what's going on in this video, the device you're watching this on, can you hear the people around you talking? Can you see the advertising billboards that are going past you if you're on a train in your peripheral vision? The more you train your level of awareness, the easier it is to understand where your problems are coming from. So raising your awareness is actually about less stimulation. It's about silence, it's about solitude, because this is where the magic happens. And it's actually the secret behind elite performance. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time you were truly bored and you didn't pick up something to distract you? The truth is, you're probably scared of silence and boredom because you have to face and confront the thoughts and feelings that you have inside. But the world is designed as one big amusement park for us to avoid this, for us to avoid boredom. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Why is it designed this way? Why are we kept purposefully numb, overfed. But that's a conspiracy for another day. So what you can do is go for walks without your phone, train without music, do the dishes without YouTube in the background. Create the space in your mind for the next steps to appear. For your ambition to come to fruition and for it to actualize and materialize into steps, you need a balance of stillness and action. So just isolate yourself and watch what happens. Feed your mind the correct inputs, train right, eat right, sleep right, drink enough water, and by default you'll create the correct outputs, which are the steps to actualize your ambition. This is the simple formula that people seem to overcomplicate for some reason. And finally, when all else fails, just listen to your intuition. It's been your inner guide more than you know, and it knows more than you do. There's a guy called David Ogilvy, and he's an advertiser, and one thing he said is that dreams, premonition, and gut feelings are all attempts by the unconscious to guide us. We are all wiser than we think, and intuition is the art of listening to the guru inside of us. By the way, every so often I open up spots to work with me, and this isn't for beginners, this is for established entrepreneurs, creators, and professionals. And what we do is we work together for 8 weeks one-to-one, and you're also in a group chat full of other 6-figure and 7-figure creators, where we design a roadmap for you personally and optimize your life through self-mastery, uncover your blind spots, and help you reach the next level of your life. Keep in mind, these are the techniques that I use to build a 7-figure company at 21, build audiences from scratch, and create compelling content that stands out from the rest. There are very few spots available, so if you're interested, then click the link in the description below to apply. Otherwise, I feel like this video will be more than enough to get you started, I promise. So whilst you're being conditioned by the external world, your intuition from inside is actually trying to break through as well. It's why sometimes you get glimpses of a life that you know that you want to live, but it quickly fades away as the idea of reality that you accept sets in. And you can access your intuition by doing the steps that I said before. Isolate yourself, meditate, be alone, be bored, remove distractions, and you'll hear it loud and clear. And then some extra things you can do to get yourself across the line if you're ambitious but still lazy is public commitment. Commit to a group of people aside from yourself, whether it's your friends, whether it's a community of like-minded people. I myself have built a community off the back of my following, and we all hold each other accountable. If you want to know more, then click the link in the bio. But what it does is it forces you to hold yourself accountable to more than yourself. You owe it to other people as well. You should also optimize your environment. One of the questions I asked earlier was, is my environment conducive for me to work efficiently? Do you have your phone by your side when you work? Do you have the TV on in the background? Do you have music with lyrics on? All of these things are taking up subtle mental bandwidth and distracting you from the task. Keep subtle reminders around you, whether it's your phone lock screen, whether it's a post-it note on the wall in front of you. These things act as mental reminders. They're going to keep you on track and keep you focused on the step ahead of you. You don't have to focus on the whole staircase, only the one step that you have to take today and tomorrow. So with that being said, like anything, it does take work to dive deep into the roots of your procrastination, but you have to understand the cost of your laziness, not only to yourself, but to the people around you and the people relying on you. I'm a big believer that a seed is planted in you from early, and it's your job to uncover what your purpose here is. And that ambition is just a spark. It's a reminder of what it is you're here to do. It doesn't come from nowhere. So I'll leave you with this. You can't transcend your programming until you become aware of it. So at the very least, just work on your awareness and you'll start seeing the patterns in your behavior that you were previously avoiding. So remember, your ambition is a sign that you're here to do more than you think and more than you're currently doing. I think you have to understand what we're actually capable of, what you're capable of. And this isn't a motivational video. This is literally me just telling you that laziness has killed more dreams and more things that the world actually needs than you thought. How many ideas, inventions, screenplays, movies, art has never left the notebook of a creator because they didn't know how to overcome that initial resistance to get started? And mainly I make these videos as a reminder to myself anytime I fall into this trap of laziness. So hopefully you put this into practice and let me know in the comments below what you're currently struggling with, what you feel like your ambition is but you can't seem to actualize. You can join my free newsletter in the description as well. I send out weekly wisdom like this that is designed to be practical, not just theoretical, that you can implement into your life every week, along with some free frameworks like a reverse engineering goal setting system that's going to help you with the steps I mentioned earlier, an annual review framework, a free reading list, some of the books that have transformed my life forever. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and to my main channel as well if you want to tune into my show, into my interviews that I do with people, as well as some of the more cinematic videos you'll see on that channel. But hopefully this helps, and I'll see you soon.